Hello and welcome back to the Minetrek game server. Currently adjusting the hull again. Went ahead and decided to move up the Rick Steinbach plans into the separate hull that mirrored over, copied over, and upon doing so, ho boy, did we run into some problems. All of these areas up through here had to be fixed, and everything forward had to be mirrored and flipped over so that we could get clean lines for everything. And we've been in the process of trying to unfix someone's fix. And this is the areas so far that I found discrepancies in. And when I did this section here, when I did this blue thing, I copied it out of the original ship, headed over the top of the section that I wanted it in, and then I just converted it to sand. It did a dead drop, and then I converted the blocks under it. Converted the sand to the block, and then just, for the sections, and dropped it down. Obviously, if it was a major issue, like if I had screwed that up, which I didn't, it will only affect the area that it's in. And as you can see through here, it's a larger area that's been affected. Now, I'm about ready to do this ring here, and I'm pretty sure it'll be off in the back all the way down. I don't know. I'm praying to God the phaser strip hasn't been touched, modified, tweaked, adjusted, or whatever, because that'd be the end game for me right there. But yeah, and most of this is pretty recent stuff, because just a few days ago I was working on the revision, and all of this was in line. Didn't have any issues with it. And when we copied over the decks from the Steinbach to this hull, I ended up with this blocks right here missing. That means the hull had been changed, because the Steinbach deck uses this row right here, and it was a direct link from that ship, because I fixed that deck 2, or whatever deck this is affected here, and did all the work on it. So it was pristine to the hull, and then I dropped it down into the stack below it, into the Steinbach area, and started working on the Steinbach area. So from the time that I started working on the Steinbach deck to today, all of this area here had been changed. All of it. And the reason we know this area had been changed is we went over to the original ship and brought it back over, and it was all matched up perfectly. So all of this whole section, it's like somebody went through here and just like tried to eyeball change shit, and in the process totally and utterly screwed the pooch. To say that I'm angry is an understatement. I am absolutely livid. And this is one of those things where if it wasn't for Panic being around, I probably at this point would have deleted the hull and deleted the entire D project. Gone. I have repeatedly and done everything. I've repeatedly stated, do not touch this hull. Leave this hull alone. I do not want what happened to the other hull happening to this hull, and it seems to be happening no matter what. Now we have a culprit in mind, and just out of sheer anger, I demoted that individual. I was going to demote him all the way back to ensign. Panic was online, and Panic says no. He just said, give it some time, let it settle. And I still want to demote him, but I'm not going to. At this point, he needs to come clean with all the work and all the alterations that he's done on the hull. And if he touches the hull again, I won't demote him. I'll just straight up ban the guy from the server, period. And it's M. Heller's server, so it's her call whether or not it's a perma ban or not. But yeah, I can honestly tell you that this right here, and I don't know if it happened before the last incident. I do know it's happened since I started working on that deck. So when this deck was completed, this deck right here, I guess it's deck 3. No, deck deck 2 here. When deck 2 was done, which was just 2 days ago, literally 2 days ago, I I did it for the Wi-Fi plans first, and then I copied the Wi-Fi plans straight down into down in here from the Wi-Fi hall, which is right above us here, right in front of us, on the Wi-Fi hall saucer, and copied it and went straight down and dropped it into this section. So when I when I copied the revised deck back over into its own hall, into the Steinbach hall, there shouldn't have been any gaps in the hall anywhere, period, none whatsoever. Now this is because this isn't outlined for lifts. I mean lifts for lifeboats. So there should not have been any discrepancies whatsoever. And sure enough, there was right there. And then Panic found one right up in here, and it just snowballed from there. And so I'm going to fix this hull, and then I'm going to copy it over to the other ship. And yeah, that's a lot of extra work, coupled with having to fix the hull underside, and I'm really scared. I'm absolutely terrified to see just how much down here has been tweaked. I'm hoping not a lot of it. Now, this is not as important as, say, because obviously it does bend and curve. And it has the windows, so there is going to be some differences from fore to aft. But in areas out here like this, there should be no difference. It should be all these rings that all up to this point. They should all of them should be uniform all the way around. If they're not, it means somebody's messing with them, and messing with them causes problems, and problems lead to systemic issues that which plagued the original D and seem to have infected our reboot of the D, and now it's spreading onto this hull, and the only common denominator is one individual, and that individual needs to put his OCD or ADD in check and stop messing with these hulls. And or if the contour is wrong, I'll just adjust the contour. Nobody will know. Well, guess what? We find out that you've adjusted the contour when we start doing our other things, and things don't match up. And when they don't match up, it causes all sorts of problems. It's a snowball effect. So you gotta leave shit alone. Unless you're authorized to change it, don't change it, and don't change it on the sly. Like, oh, nobody's on, I'll go work on this, and when I come on, you zip on over to whatever project you were working on, hoping I didn't, look at Dynamap. And the only reason I got on is because I saw on Dynamap you were over here messing with stuff. So yeah, don't mess with this shit. I won't warn again, period. And the person that is involved with this knows who they are. They straight up now know who they are, and it won't happen again, because if it does, it'll be a ban. And like I said, it'll be up to Impeller whether or not it's lifted, because I won't lift it. Once it's in place, to me it's permanent. I will not lift it. So you just don't screw around with stuff, especially something like this when you know all the problems that we've had with it. So that being said, let's go ahead and paste. It'll probably crash the server. If it crashes the server, I do apologize. For some reason, Wii's been giving us some difficulties. It's not that big of an edit. It's just one little ring. And is it going to come through? Yeah, it came through. We didn't crash. Now what I do is I sample it in areas. It's going to crash. Nope, didn't. I sample it, so that's good. Then I'll come over here and I'll sample around the corner here. See, we got an issue right there. Now I'm going to double check to make sure that this is in the correct spot, because if it's not, it's not. See how it's one off? So that happens every now and then with the Wii editor. I don't know why it does it, but it seems to, it does these odd things every now and then that kind of defy us. Like, you'll do something and then it'll place like a crap ton of wool. Why'd you do that? but it did it. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and recopy it. Sure. I think I have an idea what I did. Yeah, I do. Exactly what I did. Come on, slow down. Get over here. There we go. We will copy. And then we will flip it. That looks like a TV antenna, doesn't it? I'll speed up here and I'll go back over to my little spot and slow down again so I don't overlap it, overshoot it, and I'll paste. And hopefully we don't crash out. And we sit here and we wait. And we wait. And I see something. There it is. Alright. And I'll come through here and I'll get rid of all this crap here and we'll do our sampling. And the reason I sample is to make sure it's in the right spot. Like I said, every now and then I either script when I calculate the weak spot, or at one point it did a really funky thing. It was kind of odd. Never seen that before, but those are all dropping right on the line. So we'll go around the corner here. 1, 2, 1, 2. Those are pretty good. So we'll zip on over here to the back. It seems that it started out with somebody, like, you can tell if it was just this one little section that was the problem, it would be uniform. It'd be a straight line up, straight line over, straight line back. It would be, because that's how Wii works. It doesn't do jagged little edits like this. So all these little things like that, that shows us that it's a multitude of manual changes. It's not something that could have happened naturally or through a Wii error. No, this is a physical change. These are physical changes done by a player causing them. And we'll just come through here and drop sand, and then we'll just look down and see how good or how bad we are. So, okay, right there. You see that? That's not supposed to be that way. Yeah, all the sand is falling in the wrong spot. So, we don't want that. I'll show you what I mean here. You see how the sand falls, it hits stone here, but over here it doesn't. Okay, that means that this area here has been changed. And over here has been changed. So let's go straight up and see how far out it goes. And again, this is not something, because when I mirrored the hull, it was a straight over copy, and everything lined up, you know, front to back. And this one section here, it's just like somebody came through. Now, even if I had mirrored this, because when I mirrored this in here, it was done in 3 small stages. And then after I mirrored this in, I copied the hull back over and repasted the hull in this area, and then trimmed the hull out from the inside. So the hull was a direct rematch to the other side. So basically I comped for adding this section in by taking the hull, remirroring it, putting it over here, and then trimming it out from the inside so that everything again was in line. And then when I put the blue thing here, which is the transporter thing, I copied it above it, about where I wanted it, and then I just converted it to sand. It fell, and then I went through and replaced the blocks underneath of it with the blue blocks, and everything was in line. And again, as of like 2 days ago when I was working on this deck over there, actually I'd say no later than 3 days ago when I was working on deck 2, there was no issues here. This was all lined up and it was fine. And obviously when we copied over deck 2 to the hull here, things have changed. The hull had been changed. And yeah, that's the problem I'm running into, is these, and this is what I call subvertive changes. These changes are made and nobody's told, and there's only one person on the server that likes to do that. And yeah, and you can see here that this has been modified, so I'm sure this ring, I'll have to check this ring now, then this ring, and this ring, and then I'll have to check the phaser strip again. And the phaser strip was something I just did a little over, it's the same time I worked on that deck as when I did the phaser strip, so it's no less than 48 hours to 64 hours ago. So, you know, the onset's 72 at most, so it's extremely discouraging, like I said. Overwhelmingly frustrating, and my instinct is to ban the individual responsible for this and be done with it. But the kinder side of me says no. Um, you only addressed this issue a day or so ago. Maybe these changes were made 3 days or 4 days ago, just after you worked on this section. And I don't know. But if the individual cannot remember what he said in an email to me 24 hours after he sent it, then he sure as hell isn't going to remember doing stuff like this, in which case he has a mental issue, and that issue could compromise the build, which obviously it has at this point. So this will be fixed again. I'm losing count now how many times I've had to address issues with the hull after I've had to address issues with the hull. So I'm tired of counting this, and I'm tired of making sound like a broken record. So again, I find any more issues, I'm just going to ban the individual straight up, be done with it, and it's up to Impeller whether or not it's a permaban or not. So, anyways, I do appreciate you taking time to watch, and sorry it wasn't more of a cheerful episode, but this is what I've been doing for the last 4 hours, and a little burned out. Actually, I'm extremely burned out, so I'm going to call it quits and take a break for a while, go do something else. Y'all have a great night. Bye-bye.